New footage released from Jonathan Majors' controversial case has a shocking parallel to this biblical story. Guys, let's jump into this video. Okay, so this says surveillance footage from night of alleged altercation between Jonathan Majors and ex-girlfriend has been released. Now, we're going to be looking at this in just a second. If you guys haven't been keeping up, I'll catch you up. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. Thank you so much for being here. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire people to live a life that bless God. If you're not new here, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. What are you doing with your life? So Jonathan Majors was accused by his ex-girlfriend of fisticuffs and was dragged. I think he lost movie roles. It was bad.
Disney has stood by him,
Disney
actually.
did say, okay.
But I mean, he was skyrocketing on the level of stardom, and he definitely slowed down after this.
Yeah, he had the massive movie with Michael B. Jordan. Was that Creed, right? They did Creed together. And so he was definitely on up, and then just an allegation can derail a man's career. And so that's exactly what happened. But there's footage. Go ahead.
Shout out to New York.
Shout out to New York. Okay, so this is a grainy footage. It looks like him.
Looks like he's trying to put her back in the car. I think he's like, go with the ride service. I don't want to be with you.
And then she gets out of the car.
She gets out. She's probably,
he's holding onto his arm. She's grabbing his arm.
Yep.
He's pushing her away. And this man runs.
This man is fleeing. Oh, if this isn't the most cinematic thing you've ever seen. This man's got a trench coat just swaying in the wind.
He looked like a superhero.
He's running down the streets of New York.
This is a long run. This is multiple blocks.
Dude, this is multiple blocks.
Those blocks are not short, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude,
she's chasing. She's now running after him into traffic.
He's like, I want nothing to do with you. He was rounding corners.
This is incredible.
Man, I wonder, I wonder.
Is that it? Is that?
This man's running. That was it.
Yo, okay. Now, before we get into the biblical parallel here, because there is one, and it's amazing, okay? Right? There's so many memes here. The biggest one that comes to mind is like this notion of like, believe all women always, right? All women? Always? Right? Like the landscape of the Me Too thing, right? Which definitely exposed some weirdos and some creeps for sure. But then when you got into it, I started seeing that there could be just allegations that would derail people's lives, right? Then there's the meme, and this is a darker meme.
This is very dark.
Then there's the meme of like, the black man has his life ruined by a white woman, right? By Karen, right? There's that meme, right? Which I don't want to generalize, but there's also that component to it, which is like definitely a meme. And then there is the biblical parallel here, which I'm not even sure what I'm looking at.
I think she's like kind of capping. She's like, look at these marks.
What marks?
So I think she got a bruise on her knuckle, and I think she has some sort of marks on her neck.
Girl, you white. That happens to me when my daughter gives me a hug.
You should see the top of my knee after I've been crossing my legs too long.
Yeah,
it looked like I took a baseball bat to my.
You tripping? The marks.
Okay, but there were some things apparently that happened. I don't know, just to steel man her side of the argument. Yeah, an alleged text messages between Jonathan Majors and his accuser entered into evidence his misdemeanor assault trial and just released by the court. The actor tried to convince his then girlfriend to not seek medical treatment for inquiries from an argument between them. So I guess she got hurt on her head.
On her head, like
I think some hit her head, and Jonathan Majors may have been, may have occurred those events. I don't know the exact details, but I will not go to the doctor if you don't feel safe with me doing so. Don't trust me to. I promise I would never mention you, but I understand your fear. You can't reject love if there's no real love. It's just lip service. I gave you love last night and this morning before I got out of bed. When you got up, you were not full of love at all. I mean, we don't know if these are real, how credible these are, what the whole side of the story is, but it definitely sounds like there's some mental health issues on both sides.
Yeah.
But going back.
So is she saying because the assault was claimed?
This is separate. I think this is ongoing.
This is ongoing. Okay.
This is ongoing. So
because there's another video of him running away from her, and
at another situation.
Yeah, and some dudes trying to press him because he like storms away and he's walking past and some guys try to pursue him, and then a lady's like, "Stop! Like, what are you doing?" You know. So yeah, there's a couple videos that have been leaked of this sort of stuff, right? But I mean, in this situation, in this video, clearly he's de-escalating and clearly he's running.
He's fleeing
from the situation, which is wise. As a man, if you're ever in a situation where things turn physical, you need to either if you can restrain the person, but even restraining them.
Nah, don't restrain.
That mark could have been from him attempting to restrain her.
Yep.
Right. But even in that, the restraining may not be a good idea. So you might just want to flee. Like Scripture says to flee sexual immorality, flee this sort of stuff, right? Now, let's go to the biblical parallel, shall we? I got it pulled up here. You guys are going to love this. This is Joseph being sold as a slave in Egypt and then being brought out of Potiphar's house. And his master saw the Lord was with him, made all he did to prosper in his hands. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house and all that he had put under his authorities. This is when he was working for someone. The Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was on all he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all he had in Joseph's hand. So this is before he's right hand of Pharaoh. And he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance, and it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But
she gave him the do me eyes, bro. That's crazy. That detail. She didn't just say lie with me. She cast eyes on him. She cast, what was it?
Casting longing eyes on him.
That's the doomy eyes, bro.
But he refused. With me in charge, he told her, "My master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns, he entrusted to my care. No one is greater in the house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. This is the Billy Graham rule before Billy Graham was even thought of.
This is the Joseph rule.
Yeah, it's Joseph rule. One day, he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. It's a setup, ladies and gentlemen. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me," but he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house, much like Jonathan Majors ran as she's trying to grab his
This
cloak.
is literally...
This is amazing. When he saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had to run out of the house, she called her household servants. "Look," she said, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. She kept his cloak beside her master." Go back. She kept his cloak beside her master until his master came home. Then she told the story: "That Hebrew slave you brought us came to me to make sport of me, but as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, "This is how your slave treated me." He burned with anger. Joseph, master, took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined.
He got me too'd.
He got me too. Wow, man, this is crazy. So the parallel here is pretty strong, if you ask me. But I'm glad Joseph ran. But even though Joseph ran, the accusation was still enough to get him in prison.
No real trials back then.
No real trials back then. No, they were gonna go with the lady's voice, right? Yeah. Much like people today do. And I'm not saying that these situations don't happen. They do happen. We don't know all the particulars about this situation, but it is telling of all the different memes overlapping this situation.
I mean, man, the Bible
comes to life, man.
It comes to life. There's nothing new. There's
nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun. We've got earlier in the stream Proverbs telling us that the broke want to look rich, and comparing that to luxury goods nowadays. And we've got someone getting me too'd in the Bible.
Yeah, and obviously there's the Amber Heard situation.
Oh my goodness.
Similar situation.
Yuck.
You know?
Same exact thing.
Yeah, didn't she
poop on the bed?
Didn't she chop his finger off?
And she cut his finger poorly.
Stay away from these crazy women. A brilliant poet of our era said, "Sometimes the prettiest people do the ugliest things."
Who said that?
Kanye West.
That's great.
It's true though. Sometimes people who know they're attractive and have been attractive their whole life, and it's a part of their identity and their psyche, will do really dark things.
They got the attention their entire life for being attractive.
And
so it correlated.
And so it correlated. They have a main character syndrome. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. We see according to the Bible that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when he answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.